When reviewing Snow White, something came to my mind. While calling itself a live-action adaptation, this movie had no interest in being faithful to the original, but seems oddly familiar.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
After some thought, the answer came to my mind. It was told once before in a 2012 movie called Snow White and the Huntsman, a dark fantasy retelling of the original story, starring Kristen Stewart, Charlize Theron, and Chris Hemsworth. Compared to the 2025 Snow White, it's grittier, action-packed, and was made for a more mature audience. The movie begins in the Kingdom of Tabor, where Queen Eleanor gives birth to a daughter with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, hair as black as a raven's wings, and a heart as strong as the rose. A strong-willed, independent girl who is rightfully called Snow White, unlike some newer interpretations of the story. Fast forward, the queen dies, and the king goes fighting an army of glass zombies.
You serious?
Then she meets a beautiful prisoner, Ravenna, and marries her, only to find that she's an evil sorceress who launched the attack of the glass zombies. Ravenna then kills the king, usurps the kingdom, and rules as the evil queen. But for some reason, she doesn't kill Snow White.
Oh, how convenient!
The kingdom suffers under her tyrannical rule. She drains youth out of young women to keep her beauty. The magic mirror tells Queen Ravenna that Snow White, now a beautiful young maiden, is destined to overthrow her.
What the fuck? Why didn't you tell me sooner?
Snow White escapes the castle, so Ravenna sends a drunk huntsman to bring her back, with the promise of reviving his dead wife. Meanwhile, William, a childhood friend of Snow White, whose father has formed a resistance, sets out to find her too. The huntsman decides to protect Snow White instead. They come across the dwarves and then are joined by William.
That was easy.
Ravenna disguises herself as William and tempts Snow White into eating a poisoned apple, which sends her into a dying sleep. William, who always loved her, kisses her, but she doesn't wake up.
I didn't see that coming.
Then the huntsman kisses her.
Oh my god!
The combined effect of the two kisses brings her out of her sleep. Is that a reference to something? You need two lovers to be completely satisfied? Anyway, Snow White unites the dwarves, the huntsman, and the resistance to overthrow the queen. They infiltrate the castle and defeat the guards, but the queen herself is more than a match for all of them combined, until Snow White stabs her in the heart and destroys her. The kingdom once again enjoys peace, and everyone lives happily ever after.
Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
You probably have figured it out by now. This movie and the 2025 Snow White are practically the same. But by any comparison, Snow White and the Huntsman is a far better movie. It took a dark, unique take on the classic tale, turning it into a dark fantasy in similar manners to The Lord of the Rings or The Witcher, full of adventure, sword, and sorcery. It wasn't afraid to deviate from the traditional tale, yet the changes didn't hurt the overall story. At least they made Snow White a strong leader instead of just talking about it.
She's not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
It expanded the world of Snow White and delved into its mythology. The world of Snow White and the Huntsman seems bigger, richer, more engaging, and a lot more dangerous. The dwarves are actual dwarves, played by real people, instead of what this was supposed to be. The visual effects and fight scenes are other strong aspects of this movie. The $170 million budget has been used effectively. The CGI is stunning. The battle sequences are well choreographed, action-packed, and brutal. You get the feeling that everyone might lose their lives. The acting is mostly great. Kristen Stewart looks the part. She does what is expected of her character, but she was still in her twilight years and never truly shines. Chris Hemsworth, on the other hand, delivers a great performance as a drunk man, haunted by the death of his wife. His mentor-student relationship with Snow White doesn't always work, but the thing he teaches her ends in a good payoff. But the greatest aspect of this movie is, without doubt, Charlize Theron. She gave the performance of a lifetime as the evil Queen Ravenna. She's evil, ruthless, menacing, and obsessed with beauty and immortality, but she also has moments of weakness and vulnerability.
Now there's no one I can trust. No one. There's no loyalty. No loyalty. None! Not even from you! Where is she?
Jesus, that was chilling. Having said all that, this movie is far from flawless, which prevents it from reaching higher levels of greatness. The writing is the weakest part of it. There are many characters in the movie, and almost none of them is given enough depth. While Snow White is a warrior princess, her transformation from a helpless girl to a leader is rushed and underdeveloped. Also, Kristen Stewart couldn't elevate her character any higher. The pacing is another issue. Some parts dragged on for too long, and some are over quickly. Both love interests have no chemistry with Snow White, and her reawakening seems more like a plot convenience. The movie is indeed a new take on Snow White, but the overall story follows the generic hero's journey without adding anything new. It's also annoying that the villain has every chance to kill the hero, yet decides to play with her until she gets the chance to kill her. With all that said, it's still a very good, entertaining movie. It earned around $400 million at box office, much more than Snow White will ever gonna make. And it did it on a smaller budget. Perhaps we treated it too harshly at the time, but it's definitely worth your time.